Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Well, grand evening. I'm Naima Latif, and we are here for another edition of the On Air Daily News. And as always, we appreciate you for joining us because today we want to emphasize the importance of teaching our children how to read, write, and count. But most importantly, read, write, and speak when it comes to how they're going to present themselves to the world and how important it is for language arts. We have had the privilege of working with the Betty Shabazz International Charter School. And this is a wonderful group of young people who not only are articulate, but visionary. And we also had the privilege of being able to speak and work with various educators that are emphasizing the importance of having a global perspective as we prepare our children to function in the world. So, one of the things that we are launching is a national drive to bring back some of those lost arts that many schools are not realizing, whether it's because of AI or because of the computer age where everything is easily researched online. You don't really have to think. We're realizing that so many educators are facing conditions where children simply have not learned how to write or how to read or how to express themselves in words. Now, as other students across the world are becoming multilingual, our English speaking students are often not even knowing how to master English. And this is a real problem because how are you going to be a leader in the world? How are you going to be independent? How are you going to create systems? And it's definitely needed that we create systems. How are you going to be able to do that when you can't express yourself? People judge intelligence based on your capacity to speak. And we're grateful that our wonderful hosts are global in their expression and in their perception and in their choices of guests to remind us that we're part of a whole world community. And it's critical that we be prepared to interact with this world community, and it be critical that we have the same abilities to think and speak and write in multiple languages, because everybody else, even with the computer age and even with AI and even with the internet, they're still keeping their minds sharp. And we can't get angry at immigrants who take jobs because they're bilingual and it's needed that people be able to speak more than one language, when we're not teaching our children to speak even the one language that they do speak. So, as long as our world is connected, we must master the languages that humanity speaks. And this is why we greet our global family every show, because we're reminding you that we are, in fact, a global family. And we must be able to speak to each other, and we must be able to articulate our thoughts. Some of the greatest figures in history have been people who had the power to speak and articulate thought. So before we share with you some bits of some of our hosts and their guests and some of our works in helping our children master languages beyond English, let's greet our global family joining us all around the world. And as we remind people, the On Air Daily News is keeping us abreast of what is happening in the world that people are doing that is positive and powerful and empowering. So we are reminding you that just as things seem to appear darkest, it, like they say, it's always darkest before the dawn. And a new world is dawning in which we are developing new systems of communicating, of traveling, of interacting, of doing commerce. And it means that we must first be able to speak to each other. So let us greet our global family joining us from all around the world. And we'll be right back. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the On Air Radio Network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. I'm Naima Latif with the On Air Daily News Hour, and we always remind you that every day you are making a decision on where you're going to put your attention. Who are you going to allow to give you a vision of what's happening in the world? Every decision that you make is going to affect how you feel. If you're feeling that the world is a place of despair and hopelessness, then that's what you're going to feel and that's what you're going to manifest. So we keep reminding you every day that there are people who are choosing to use this powerful tool of the internet to inform, inspire, and uplift you so that you can have access to those inspiring ideas that you were meant to bring to the world and you were meant to manifest in your life. There are people who know that their mission is to educate, to train young minds, and to touch young hearts so that the children who are going to be the leaders of the free world we're creating today, the world that is free from fear and free from distorted belief systems that keep us thinking that we don't have the power to create the kinds of lives, the kinds of systems that are fair and just and right. We have the power to do so. And education systems that give us knowledge empower us with that understanding. So, US students are being urged to learn Chinese. Author Rasan Lidell encourages English speakers to master the world's second most spoken language. Mandarin Chinese is spoken by an estimated 11 to 12 billion people globally, making it the second most spoken language in the world by total speakers after English, and the language with the highest number of native speakers. It is the primary language of China and a key language in Singapore and Malaysia. Now, if we know this, if we're aware of this reality, rather than being upset when Chinese speaking people are traveling the globe and doing business, if we were intelligent, we would master the language, because commerce is controlled by people who know how to interact and know how to convince you to buy their goods and services because they can speak to you. So rather than get upset when people move into the neighborhoods where we live who come from somewhere else, if they have mastered our language and we have not mastered theirs, then we cannot be angry. Similarly, if we are not encouraging our young people to think in terms of traveling abroad so that they can be familiar with other cultures and they can be familiar with people who may dress differently and speak differently and think differently, then we are doing our children a disservice. If they never go anywhere other than in the hood, and we can't give them real life experiences in other places, then we're crippling them. We're actually crippling them by not preparing them for the world, which is, in fact, very interactive. And we know this because we're seeing that other children in other places are traveling and are learning and are preparing themselves for all kinds of industries because they are fearless when it comes to interacting with people from other cultures. If we're failing to do that, then we cannot be angry because our children have simply not been prepared in the way they should have been prepared to be able to speak to others around the world. It's our responsibility. It's always our responsibility to empower our children with knowledge. And we cannot be angry if other people have mastered things that our children have not. So let's take a look at some realities when it comes to the language skills that are important when we are striving to interact with others. Now, author and founder of Global Pathways to Education and Publishing, Rashawn Liddell, is urging U.S. English speaking students to broaden their linguistic skills and seek to master the world's second most spoken language in order to prepare them for international travel, education, and business. During a recent interview on Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks on the Higher Learning Network TV show and the Female Solution global broadcast, he described the unique cultural experience of teaching in China. Fluent in Mandarin Chinese, he was recruited to become an English teacher in China, a position he held for a number of years. He is author of the book Mandarin for the Culture, a cultural passport from the Shy to Shanghai. So let's take a look at a couple of the things that he shared as
Grand Rising, and welcome to Monday Morning Mindfulness. I'm your host, Zelda Speaks, and we are still celebrating Women's Her Story Month. Yes, baby, Women's Her Story. We're telling her story. And as a matter of fact, we are going all the way to China, Shanghai, to
yes. We get a chance to share his experience.
And thank you for joining us back here on The Female Solution on the Higher Learning Network TV show, which airs Tuesdays at 6, Wednesdays at 1, and 24/7 on the World Wide Web on the Higher Learning Network TV show. And as we continue the show with the one and only, this is coming to the stage, coming to the stage, coming to the stage. He's here. And that would be our very own Rashawn Liddell. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me back. Thank you for having me back.
Anytime we can go and we don't need a passport, we can do just what we're doing now. So thank you very much for being here with us, for taking us to Shanghai this morning. Shanghai. I forgot my greeting. Ni hao, ma.
Yeah, ni hao ma. Yep, ni hao.
Now explain that for those who don't understand what that means.
Sure. So in Chinese, in Mandarin, the way they greet each other is by saying ni hao. And ni hao literally means you good, because ni means you and hao means good. So interestingly enough, we got this African-American vernacular English going with the language, the way the languages merge in an interesting way. So typically it's translated, ni hao means hello. And ni hao ma means how are you? Okay. How are you? Ni hao ma, how are you?
Okay. Now, can you tell us how in the world did you, for those who didn't see part 1, you can go back on our YouTube channel, Higher Learning TV show. For those who don't know, how did you even become immersed in the Chinese culture?
Okay, sure. So again, for those that perhaps hadn't seen the first interview, just introduce myself. My name is Rashawn Liddell. I'm an educator. I'm a Chicago Public Schools teacher, and I am the founder of Global Pathways Education and Publishing. I'm also an African American educator that's fluent in Mandarin because I spent nearly 10 years living and working in China. And my work centers on language, culture, and global citizenship. And the way that I ended up in China for nearly 10 years, it's actually kind of interesting. It didn't just happen in one decision. What happened is that when I was an undergraduate student and I was studying, I was taking a course in African American studies, and we were discussing the civil rights movement. And doing my work through the course, I came to the realization, and we discussed how civil rights wasn't just a local issue. It wasn't a national issue. It was an international issue. The struggle for rights and human rights and civil rights is an international issue. So that point kind of stuck with me.
We're going to take a quick break and come right back and continue more as we talk to a world traveler and international educator. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment. So just stay with us. And we are back, and you are watching the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And I'm Naima Latif. And we are taking a look at the very important process of preparing our children to be global citizens by mastering language, not just the English language, but the languages of the world. And we are always seeking to prepare our children to be leaders in the world community. So we, of course, are sharing with you the interview with author, educator, and founder of Global Pathways to Education and Publishing, Rasan Lydell, who's urging our young people to learn Chinese. And we do appreciate the fact that on the Higher Learning TV show, he was able to explain his experience. So you can see that entire conversation, as always, on the on-air daily news on the education page, but you can also go to the Higher Learning TV show. And we appreciate the fact that our hosts bring us a global perspective so that our children can see themselves as world citizens, because that is who they are. And now that our world is connected in such a powerful way, we need to remind our children that there are no restrictions to them traveling, and there are no restrictions to their even adopting other cultures or experiencing other cultures. There are no restrictions to them, even if they want to marry into another culture, another people. There are no restrictions on their lives at all. And so, if they have no fear of going anywhere and becoming anything, that is the most powerful thing we can do, is to remind them that they have no restrictions. And so we must make sure that we tell them the stories of those who have triumphed over any kind of barriers and adversities that would make them believe that others have the power to keep them from becoming who they are. So on the on-air daily news, we remind our daily viewers, and you can go to onair.dailynews.com right there at the bottom of the screen. But we remind our daily viewers that we're all over the world, and people speak to us all over the world, and we're speaking to each other all over the world. We now have the power to speak. Something as simple as a cell phone, and you can speak to anyone anywhere. So we no longer have to rely on other people's belief systems in order to find out what's happening in the world. We don't have to succumb to any kind of propaganda, because we can talk to people ourselves. We don't need to be at war with anyone, because we can talk to people and find out, well, what really is the problem? Why are you upset? What's really going on? Is there something we need to be doing that could help you? And there are people all over the world who are, in fact, reminding us that they are willing to help. And this is why we make sure that we share these things with you. And as we have spoken about the importance of educators sharing what they know and sharing the power of speech, we have educators who have told us of their experiences on the continent of Africa, and how the young people there are striving to master their literacy, learning their native languages. And of course, literacy is mastering written and oral language. As African nations shake off the shackles of colonial standards for education, many indigenous African educators are recognizing that literacy skills should not just be measured in mastery of English, but should include the child's own native language. During their appearance as guests on the show Education Nation, hosted by Michelle Renee Yisrael, educators Tamika Holcomb, teaching in Botswana, Southern Africa, and Celelia Shirenge, teaching in Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, explained the challenge of testing literacy in their schools. Children grow up speaking multiple languages in Zimbabwe. And think about that. They grow up speaking multiple languages, and we're struggling with one. Children grow up speaking multiple languages in Zimbabwe, with the principal language being Shona, explained elementary school educator Celelia Shirenge. But they are given written tests in English, a language they don't learn how to write until later, although they may have mastered several spoken languages. This gives the false impression that they lack comprehension skills. And Tamika Holcomb, who was raised in the U.S. and relocated to Botswana to teach, observed that students are brilliant in their capacity to speak and express their thoughts, but the emphasis on written English test scores and evaluating their academic standards could cause them to be unfairly categorized as less intelligent than they are. So when we take a look at things like colonialism, where people are evaluating other people based on how well you master their language, that is quite arrogant, especially when we're upset because immigrants are coming here speaking Spanish. Spanish is of course, I believe, the second most prominent language in America spoken, even though there's a large number of Chinese speakers around the world. But in terms of American cities, the spread of Spanish-speaking immigrants has caused a lot of upset when businesses must make decisions on who they're going to hire, and they need someone who can speak to a larger segment of the population. And they need someone who is bilingual, at least speaking two of the languages that their customers speak. So the Spanish-speaking person who can also speak English is preferred over the English-speaking person who cannot speak Spanish, and people are angry. Why are we angry when we have the capacity to simply learn another language? So we constantly remind our viewers, our readers on the on-air daily news, and those who watch our shows every day on the Female Solution, that we are a global family. And when we refuse to learn the languages of other people, we are crippling our children, because they're not going to be prepared for the future in which the world is all connected as one community. This is a reality, whether we are prepared to acknowledge it or not. And because others around the world are preparing their children, we are going to discover that our children are being replaced more and more in industries where the need for multilingual skills are increasing. And if we're not taking advantage of the opportunity to learn other people's languages, then we are dooming our children to be in subservient positions around the world. Why would we do that when we've been told by educators that the way of the future is to learn many languages? And I'm so grateful for our team of hosts that is so very astute in letting us know how important it is for us, number one, to master travel, as we see with Move Around with Deborah every third Saturday here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast, to recognize the critical need for us to master the capacity to travel and understand how to go from point A to point B, whether it's across the street or across the city or across the country or across the world, and to be able to interact with different people. So these are the critical things that we must teach our children. And when we choose to expose them to programs that expand their minds, we're empowering them to shape the future they want to live in. So we will be once again going back to the Betty Shabazz International Charter School to introduce a program entitled Literacy Matters. And this is a chance for them to take the philosophy that language skills, being able to read and comprehend, being able to write and express your thoughts in written language clearly with correct punctuation rules as they are, so that what you're saying is understood. And to speak, to master the language. Now, we know very powerful, popular rap artists who have obviously mastered the language. Not only have they mastered it, its meaning and its subtle nuances and its expressiveness and all of the visual imagery that language creates, they've been able to do it to a rhythm and make it rhyme. That's a brilliant skill. It's a skill that our ancestor griots, and you of course remember the show Gathering of the Griots with Asada. A griot is an oral historian, and we have met historians that they retain thousands of years of history in their minds and can recite it. That's a mental skill. So our children have that capacity and they're expressing it. So what we're doing is giving them an opportunity to speak to their peers and explain to their own age groups from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade the importance of them mastering that skill of language, them mastering the ability to read, write, and speak, because that is the key to a future of self-empowerment. And not only are they going to write about this very important skill, they're going to take that written word and turn it into a verse, a spoken word, a rap, a hip hop piece, the language of their peers that is musical and rhythmic and short and to the point, but very creative. And you'll see those children as they present their pieces on our 4th Saturday show, the Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest that our host Zelda produces every 4th Saturday. And you'll get a chance to vote on who you think had the best presentation in explaining in their own creative way the importance of literacy. And this program, entitled Literacy Matters, we're launching it at Betty Shabazz first, and then we'll take it around the country. We'll take it across the country because American students need to improve their literacy if they're going to keep up with the rest of the world and the children who are learning multiple languages and mastering the ability to read and write, not only in their own languages, but also in English. And we have not even properly mastered English. So this project, Literacy Matters, it will give us an opportunity to remind American children how deeply important it is for them to be prepared as they enter the world stage and interact with so many other young people. And we constantly remind our readers on the on-air daily news that young people are being prepared for a different world and are preparing themselves to be leaders in that world. And so our responsibility is to prepare our children to also be leaders in the world to come. We're going to take one last break. And when we come back, we'll talk about how you can get involved in this process of preparing your young people. Some tips on what you may need to do. So if you're a parent, rather than bemoan, oh, our children won't listen, they won't do this, they won't do that, they're really brilliant. They just need us to recognize the tools that they now use to communicate. And we must learn to listen so that we can understand what they're really saying to us. We'll be right back after this last break, so stick and stay. Don't stray away. Be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Yes, we are ascending. That's what we're doing. And we want you to come on back tomorrow and join us on the Female Solution for Master Force with Mushim Suit. And then in the evening, we want you to come on back and hear from some of the nonprofits empowering worlds.
Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
Yes, there are many organizations that are very powerful and are getting things done. And every Thursday evening, we introduce you to some of those leaders who are making a difference. Nonprofits empowering worlds. So now let's take a look at the need for education. If you have children who come home with homework, are you looking at it? I know during COVID, there were many parents who were weary because they weren't prepared for the role that was suddenly thrust upon them. But that also gave us an opportunity to really evaluate, are they learning something that's going to prepare them for life? Well, let's take a look at one of our educators who is spearheading this drive to bring back literacy.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
Yes, we want our young people to stay free. And we want our young people to appreciate the work that's been done so that they could, in fact, stay free. We want our young people to see themselves as the powerful people that they are, so that they can think and they can create. So we want them to not only be able to sing and dance, we want them to have a message. So this is why when we give our young people information, it needs to be something that's uplifting and empowering, not so much to put them down, but to lift them up and to empower them. And of course, as you recall, we did in fact feature a wonderful book fair with many books that would inspire young people so that they would read. We're constantly promoting reading. And the Black History Book Fair gave many of us a chance to meet some very empowering authors so that we could have these books in our own home library. We've got authors that are giving our children tools that can change their lives. And so we're urging you, and you can go online, of course. You can go to onair.dailynews.com and see some of these. And as you know, these are also featured on the Soulful Chicago Book Fair website. But we want you to take the initiative to get these books for your own children so that they can see themselves. They can hear stories that are empowering. They can learn about children who have overcome challenges. And they can maybe even choose to write their own books. There are many authors who have inspired young people to write. And our alternate Monday host brings some wonderful new authors and introduces people who write and even help people with the concepts that they're developing to develop their books. So we want you to consider how you're inspiring your child to read, because that's the beginning of literacy. To be able to read, write, and speak effectively. So, just in case you don't know, our team of hosts on the Female Solution will certainly give you a chance to meet them as you take a look at everybody who is on the Female Solution Global broadcasting also on the On Air Radio Network And if you are watching or listening on YouTube, you can always see whatever shows you may have missed live. You can catch it on the replay. But most definitely, you get a chance to hear some very empowering information by our hosts who are giving you a daily global perspective and also giving you some inspiration so that you can have a plan of action and you can see the world differently, as opposed to being upset and afraid and believing that there's gloom and doom. You can watch and listen every day. And if you are wondering how to hear shows in the archives, you can go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, the On Air Radio Network. Whether you're hearing or watching, you can see the archive shows, and on our femalesolution.com, thefemalesolution.com, you hear and see some fabulous hosts that are bringing you every day, bringing you programs from all around the world. Our hosts are from across the country and around the world, and you will always get a chance to learn something that you didn't know before and meet some people that you need to know. And that is the Female Solution Global Broadcast every day. And like we say, for those who are writing, you can listen to All About Our Liberation with Heather Bird the first and third Monday evening. And our wonderful literary promoters are there to help our children master the craft so that they can be the powerful voices in the future. Well, that's all we have for tonight on the On Air Daily News Hour. It's time to go. We're going to keep you abreast as we bring forth some powerful voices. Look out for them on the fourth Saturday of next month. And you will most certainly be pleased to know that the voices of enlightenment that you'll see every Wednesday morning are telling us that the young people today are the ones ushering in the new world. And so we're going to give them the voice to do so. Literacy matters. Look out for it. I'm Naima Latif with the On Air Daily News Hour, and we'll see you tomorrow right back here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And until that time, we always say, continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareth. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.